Hi there, hope you're having a good day. It's overcast out here, end of November 2016, Cypress, Texas. Kind of windy, kind of nice. Just out walking around, had some thoughts about knowledge. It's important for students, for teachers, just for everybody in life. We need to know when we know something and when we don't. Now, clearly, if we just memorize something, a lot of times you're going to find you're unable to really use the knowledge. When we know something, it shouldn't just be memorized or based on authority, but to some extent, we should be able to use it. We should know how it relates to the real world. Where knowledge isn't necessarily at a level where you have understanding or where it's scientific, but there should be some awareness of knowledge. Knowledge is an identification of something in the real world. So if, to some extent, this really doesn't relate to the real world, something you learn is just in a book or just because an authority says so, if it's not your knowledge alone of something in the world, it's not really knowledge. Then you just got something memorized. It's just words, it's just parroting. Thinking about that is a good thing. About what a parrot does is a good thing to help us understand when we know something or not, and it's something we should want to know. We should want to know when we really know something, because we should want to be successful in the world. It doesn't matter what someone else says. Sometimes some people make fun of you, so what? Just got to dismiss them and care about our own life and the lives of those people we love, and really strive to know things about the world instead of just memorize or follow an authority. Those can be very dangerous, because then you're not acting on real knowledge. The only place we can know anything is in the real world. The only place where we can achieve values is in the real world. So if our knowledge is not of the real world, we're detaching ourselves from reality, from real knowledge, from achieving values, then hopefully you don't want that. I don't want that. I'd prefer if most everybody in the world didn't want that. I'd prefer if most everybody in the world wanted real knowledge of real things, so we could achieve and be happy and be really efficient and effective. But knowledge is an awareness of the world. So as people who are teachers, we should strive to give some evidence for it. And maybe, some reasoning. Maybe students can't fully understand a proof. I know I remember some of that sometimes, but at least you can see there is something that you could understand if you knew more. You've got some evidence that something is true. There's some, like proof of the Pythagorean theorem as a simple example, or switch legs here. Or instead of just memorizing area formulas, square, circle, trapezoid, ellipse, we should reason them out. That's a good way for students to learn a reasoning process, which they'll need in geometry, physics, higher math, life, business, accounting, industrial engineering, planning. So they can learn to go from the area of a square, which is our basic unit of measurement, and we can give reasons for that, why squares fit into some things better than circles. Go from square to rectangle, and then we can use that to get the area of a parallelogram. And then from there, we can understand the area of a triangle. And from there, we can derive the area of a trapezoid and the area of a rhombus. And then further, we can use the area of a triangle and understanding of that, and how we're breaking other things into triangles to break a circle into a triangle, to see how to derive the area formula for a triangle and also circumference. Then these things aren't coming out of nowhere. Students know where they come from, so they have some, even if they only understand it to some extent, then they have knowledge. There's a proof or suggestion of a proof of reasoning out from the basics, even if they don't fully understand it. And then they're able to do something with the methods that we used as well as the content. They should be able to use ideas about rectangles and circles and triangles in the real world, you know, things for houses, apartments, surface area, carpet, wallpaper, painting, physics, chemistry, you know, some studying crystals, understanding the chemistry and physics of crystals, things like that and more. Knowing about sports fields, games, apply the things to the shapes of trees, to the shapes of animals, and to the movement of animals, to their gaits. So there's a lot we could do to have a knowledge of mathematics like that. That's a good model for other things, you know, whether it's math, physics, history, or English. We should know things in those areas, know things about the real world, and have some derivation of the ideas. And of course, what's going to happen is going to be different for each subject. It's different from math than it is from physics, than it is from history, than it is from English literature in general, grammar. We can do different things in each one. You know, for example, like grammar in English, if we have knowledge of grammar, we should be able to use it when we write, when we speak. We should know that it's important to help us communicate clearly and effectively. And that'd be important for business. You know, we want to be efficient. We want to communicate to each other, know what we're talking about, be able to get the job done, have companies do business with each other efficiently and successfully. And part of doing that is good grammar. You know, we shouldn't denigrate it, treat it derogatorily. We should embrace it and realize it'll make us better. So you have maybe like not the best grammar now. So what? Improve. You know, I did sentence diagramming in 8th grade. I didn't really get it, but I didn't just give it up. I don't know, like 5 or 10 years ago, I got out a sentence diagramming book and went through it. And because of all the background I had in reading and writing and speaking and communicating, it made a lot more sense to me. It's something I ought to go through again sometime. Helps understanding and communicating. You know, sentence diagramming helps me teach and understand word problems better than otherwise, you know, word problems in math and physics. So just know if we know something, to make that judgment so we can be better in our knowledge and development and action and achieving values in life. We should see if we know some reason for it on our own in the real world, not because we memorized it, not because the authority says, but because we know it. And we should be able to do something with it. Walk out in the woods and ask yourself, okay, what do I know about biology? What do I know about math? What can I use here? And I don't mean some floating abstraction that you just memorize and not know. You know, anyone can go out there and say, oh, look, the trees are different genetics. You know, that's like useless and hollow and meaningless. So what? What's the point? Yeah, things are different. You know, you have to be able to say really how the genetics is coming into play. But most people can't say that. You'd have to be able to dig into the biology and the chemistry, put the two together in biochemistry to really see what's going on and to make some useful, practical thought and take some action on it. But you want to go out and see, you know, physics, literature, math. Just go out in the forest and think about what you really know and what you can really do. Got to give you a good indication of it, you know, or like some electrical engineers know something because they have some abstract idea, but they can really apply it to working on a computer or to explaining it. You know, some science, use that to really analyze what you do in health and nutrition. So there are some ideas about what knowledge is, and hopefully that helps you give you some initial thoughts about knowing when you might know something, when you don't. So you should be able to relate it to the real world somehow, through some kind of derivation, be able to take action on it. It should be some practical idea. So let's get out there and do some work on making ourselves better rational animals. Hope this helps. If you have any comments or questions, let me know, and hope you have a good day.